What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sean Lowery Show. Adam Sosnick, what's up, man?
Sosnick, there it is.
Sosnick, damn it, dude. I honestly was practicing. I was practicing before this to get it right, and I listened to Pat say it on the podcast. Adam Sosnick.
Sosnick. I said, just call me Sos. We're good. Call me Sos.
Sos. All right. I got it from Pat.
We're good,
but yeah, dude. So I found out about you from the podcast that you're on with Patrick Bet-David, and I choose what I listen to wisely. And I swear to God, I'm a huge fan of that podcast. I love it. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. And then I looked more into you, and I never really knew that you were like kind of this money guy and this finance guy. So tell me, like, how would you summarize yourself? Tell me, who is Adam Sosnick? The Sos.
Who is the character? Who is this guy? So I would say I'm born and raised in Miami. Where are you, Sean?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston. I was supposed to go there with my mom on a business trip. Well, take my mom with me in April, and then COVID shut everything down. We could have done this in person, bro.
Ah, that would have been awesome.
So Miami guy, born and raised in South Florida. I would sort of classify myself as sort of like the jack of all trades in Miami. Nightlife, hospitality. I used to do stand-up comedy. I was a substitute teacher for a little bit. I was just kind of going through the motions. Being that I was born and raised in Miami, everyone, would come in town and be like, yo, you need someone to go call Sos. He's got you, bro. Like, you want clubs, you want restaurants, you want hookups, like call Sos. So it was really fun, especially in my, early 20s, what have you. I remember there was a time where I'd get paid in drink tickets, like, yo, come to the club. Like, that's how I would go out in Miami, and I would take $5 with me and go out and have the time of my life. This was probably in 2005-ish. Take $5 with me, go out, drink, party, club for free, not spend a penny. And I'd spend $5 on a slice of pizza at the end of the night.
That's amazing. That's right on brand. The party and the smart financial decisions. Exactly. I love it, man.
But I would look across the club and I would see, 40-year-old club promoters, 50-year-old club promoters. And I said, yo, that is not going to be me, straight up. So let me live it up in my 20s. And right around age 26, I said, I got to do something to stop waking up at noon, quite frankly, Sean. I was like, I got to stop this lifestyle. And I started substitute teaching just once a week, just to actually at my old elementary, just to kind of get up early and do something different and, make a little more money. And I loved it. It was great. It was, I basically kind of phased out of the nightlife world. I was a full-time substitute teacher, ironically, for a year, probably around 25, 26. And that's when it finally hit me. I was like, bro, you've had fun. You've given back. Time to make some motherfucking money. And I got a job as a cold caller for a startup financial firm, 2006, 2007. And dude, my first year, I made $5,000, raking in the big bucks in a year.
Yeah, nice. You probably made more subbing.
100%. And finally, like, something clicked. If you ever do anything with financial sales, it takes a little while. And then boom, I made my first six figures in 2008.
Nice.
And then the world crashed.
Yeah.
And that just sort of got me into this world. I'm now still the VP of sales for this firm.
Okay, you are.
Funds down in South Florida, Boca Raton. And I paid my dues. I've been doing that for a long time. And I went on to make very good living, a lot of money.
Nice.
And I really realized one day, holy crap. So I kind of consider myself the oldest millennial. I just turned 40.
I like that.
How old are you?
I'm 31, but I also feel young too. Like, I mean, I am young, but there's something about being a little older and just like still having the heart of like a young person. I think is a great skill for people to have.
You look young, but you got the voice of a gruff old man.
Yeah. I know. I noticed about 20 episodes into my podcast, I was like, oh my God, I don't have a great voice. I need, but you know what? I'm going with it.
You got a unique voice. You got a gruff voice.
Yeah, it stands out.
Is that your natural voice? You playing a tough guy in the podcast?
I wish I was playing a tough guy, but no, that's my natural voice. I got a little rasp. I don't know what to do about it. It's natural. So
guy, man, it's all good. So yeah, I got into financial sales, something called life insurance settlements, which is not something that I talk about a lot. It's a senior driven product, but to fast forward where we are today, I was always good at networking and sales, and just from my nightlife stuff. Hey, welcome to the club.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. So the president of my company would send me as sort of the face of my company to all these conferences, all these meetings, all these events. And about 8 years ago, I'm in the gym at a conference, just, because at these conferences, they feed you, they wine you, that you're eating. I said, I got to get to the gym at least, once a day. And who do I meet in the gym, Sean? Patrick Bet-David. We're in the gym 8 years ago. And this is before anybody even knew this guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, 8 years ago, Pat didn't start his social media stuff until about 2014.
Okay.
So we're talking 2012 here. And we're just two dudes getting to know each other. We're in the financial services world. And him and I were very young at that point. I was probably 32. He was probably 33, 34.
Okay.
Just doing some basic math here. And and we just struck a relationship. It was cool. We kept in touch. We would see each other at this exact same meeting year after year after year. And about 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I was like, yo, dude, like, I'm thinking about doing a podcast or doing something. And he's like, go all in and make sure video is a part of it. He's like, just start. So what I did is I started just going and interviewing man on the street style, because I used to do stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. And fast forward, now I'm here in Patrick Bet-David studio at Valuetainment. I'm full-time with Valuetainment. I still have my financial services job. I work remote. Okay. And I'm on Pat's podcast. I have a host of Valuetainment Economics. So
I love that. So like, and you had like Sos Talks Money too. Like, so I love what you do talking about money to people, because they don't really like. I've heard you say this before, but it's such an important thing. Like, health is important, and so is your financial health. And a lot of people don't know about it, and they don't like teach it in school. And I like what you kind of do with your channel, is like you try to make it kind of cool and fun, and it's about like this actual like specific details about health and money health, which is
health, wealth, and happiness.
Yeah, like it can be boring. It can be boring if you don't present it right, and I think you present it well, and I think it helps a lot of people.
Thank you.
So yeah, I want to talk about personal finance a little bit.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Hell yeah, yeah. So the personal finance stuff. Like I said, I think it's so important. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like a lot of the advice that you give is for like, not necessarily like an entrepreneur, more of like a standard person who has a salary and has to like manage their life based on that salary. Is that
everyday
right?
American? They need this advice.
Everyday American, yeah. So, and I actually noticed you and Pat like on the podcast dueling a little bit over, I think it was like an Uber or Lyft thing, but he was looking at it from the standpoint of like an entrepreneur's perspective, and you were like, and you were like, okay, I get that, but 98% of people are just regular people with salaries, and advice might be different for them. So, I mean, I'm kind of a little more like Pat a little bit, as far as like, I'm an entrepreneur, I have my own company, employees, and I probably have a little different perspective to personal finance. But I understand that probably a lot of my listeners, because most of the people in the world, they have a salary and then they need financial tips based upon that. So like,
for sure.
What do you think is like the number one biggest problem that people have? Is it just like debt, or?
Dude, I mean, I can go on for days about this, but basically, I mean, I'll use myself as an example, because I feel very lucky and fortunate, because dude, I would have still been that guy doing nightlife, wondering what the hell a 401k is at this point if I didn't enter this field, straight up. So number one, they don't teach you this kind of stuff in school. One of the things I always say is, we all go to school, we take the same useless classes, algebra, biology, chemistry, trigonometry, no money classes. What's up with that?
That's so dumb.
So we all enter the working world. I remember my first job out of college, I did radio ad sales for Clear Channel Media, which is now iHeartMedia.
Okay.
One of the things they said was like, if you could sell air, you could sell anything. I was like, all right, sign me up. So I remember literally not understanding how, like, this is my first time not having, like, I was living in college in dorms. I went to Florida State. I had roommates. You know,
nice.
You're living 4 people in a little apartment, whatever. this is the first time that I had to go and pay rent on my own.
Right.
So I was like, can I afford 700 a month, 1,000 a month? Or like, I didn't know what I could spend. I remember signing up for benefits, no clue. Health benefits. If you ever look at health benefits, like just shoot yourself in the face.
And people are just like, oh, that sounds good.
What do you want to sign up for your 401k? Yeah. I'm like, oh, bro, I don't even know what that is. So it was such a different world for me. And obviously now, you know, I've been through the ringer and back with this kind of stuff, but this is the kind of stuff that they don't teach you in school.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went around and I felt very fortunate to fall into financial services world. And what inspired, you know, everyone says you have an aha moment. I'm sure you had an aha moment.
I did.
When you said, all right, I got to start a podcast, bro. I got this business going on, but I want to do something different.
Right.
My aha moment was I was, like I said, I used to go to these conferences and events on behalf of my company, on behalf of my firm. And this one conference was in Vegas, which I don't know why they do conferences in Vegas, because not a lot of stuff gets done. This was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember being at this conference, and in the financial services insurance world, there's something called the male, pale, and stale crowd, where it's just a lot of old white dudes, straight up.
Okay.
And, you know, average age of insurance financial professional, I think, is well into their 60s, average. So there's a lot of need for young blood. But point is, I remember being in this room, hungover, Sean, in the back of the room, just kind of like, and that's what I hear the speaker say, yada, yada, yada. And that's why millennials are screwed. And I'm just like, what?
Oh.
What was that? And I was like, can you say that again, please? And basically he went on to basically explain why millennials were screwed. People are living longer than ever. Social Security might not be there. You're making less than your parents were. You got debt. You don't understand money. You can't invest. You're scared of the stock market. List after list after list. And I basically, the joke was, I'm like, well, guys, what are we going to do about it? And like the crowd was like, oh, good luck. And I remember coming home from Vegas to Miami, sitting with 2 of my buddies and being like, yo, guys, I don't think you understand.
Yeah.
Millennials are screwed. Like, we got to do something.
Yeah.
And my buddy, he worked for CNN at the time. Now he works for CNBC, ironically. And this whole time he was secretly recording me, just like me ranting. And that was, unbeknownst to me, the first episode of Sos Talks Money.
Nice.
So from there, I started filming a lot of content, going around. But
and I mean, and you have so many good specific like pieces of advice on there, and everyone should go listen to it. But I feel like the main thing it comes down to, and I've heard you say this, is like some people, they make $50,000 a year and they spend more than that a year on their standard living, and like, so and I think you said if you make 50 and you spend 48 and you save 2,000, then that's like the start of it, right? Like then you're saving, and then you can become like financially viable as a person.
What
like,
a mind-blowing concept.
I know. What do you think it is? Like, why do people do that? Why do people spend more money than they have? Is it just like the American culture, like our whole country's in debt, or is it just like,
very good question.
Why?
I think couple different reasons. You know, I have stats that like 50% of Americans don't have $500 for an emergency.
Yeah, I saw that.
25% of Americans have zero savings. 75% of Americans don't have $1,000. Here's the kicker: 90% of Americans buy things they can't afford. So I don't think it's like, I'm going to go out and buy this because I don't give a shit. I just think like, all right, I'm going to go buy a car. I guess I'm going to buy a $30,000 car. It's like, bro, you make $40,000. What are you talking about?
And they probably get sold by the salesperson.
Who knows? Or I don't think it's like, I just think it's like, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Do you think it's ignorance or like, or confidence? Like, I only make this much, but I'm going to make more, and this is going to motivate me. A little of both, maybe?
Probably a little bit of both. I would assume it's more just sort of ignorance is bliss. I want that Lexus. I'm going to get that Lexus. I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
You're going to figure out that you're paying 12% interest rates. I mean, your credit card is 18% interest rates, and you just don't know.
like in my world, like I can't predict exactly what my sales are going to be. It's different. But if you have a salary, it seems easy to me. Just do the math. Can you afford it or not? Like bring up a spreadsheet, do it. But I guess just not enough people do that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. But something else I think is a huge thing in like American culture that relates to money, which I'm interested about. You said you went to Florida State, right?
Yeah.
Amazing time.
A lot of keg parties, a lot of good
yeah.
times. Didn't learn a lot, but good
Like,
network, good relationships.
My college experience is the same. Like I would never give up my college experience. It was incredible. I was in a fraternity, partied all the time, met my future now fiance. Like would never give that up. It was so fun. But I learned.
Go to school.
I'm from Philadelphia, and I went to Westchester University. It's right outside of Philly.
Okay.
And awesome school. Great time.
Shout out to the Westchester Warriors.
Good guess. Golden Rams.
Okay.
Warriors would probably be like removed by now. But college is not worth it, I don't think, as far as the cost, right? Like, I feel like that is the case. It's just not worth it as far as the education you get, which sets you up for the job you're going to get based on how much college costs. I feel like that's what it's come down to. Would you agree with that?
I mean, it really just depends on who do you want to be. And a lot of times
I love that.
When you're 18 years old, you're like, yeah, I don't know who
exactly. So like
you're making the biggest decision other than a mortgage is this.
It's it's so expensive. Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know, $100,000 in debt. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. So
like the Lexus situation.
I have conflicting thoughts because I truly believe that on average, college, the money you pay and the education you get is not worth it. Just on paper. It won't get you a job that pays for it.
You're saying just not worth it?
Just not worth it. Like, I mean, there's some where it's really not worth it, some where it is worth it. But like on average, I don't think that with the cost of college now, that's worth it. That being said, what the hell else is an 18-year-old going to do? And I think that leaving your home and going off on your own, I was an 18-year-old, and leaving your high school friends and learning how to do your own wash, make friends, go out party, learn about yourself. I think that is the most valuable experience. And I think all 18-year-olds across the country should leave home and go off on another adventure and have to kind of learn about themselves, be forced to do things on their own. I think as part of our like American culture, I think college is amazing thing for just human development in general. But then it's like
EQ, not IQ.
Exactly. Yes. I think it's amazing for emotional intelligence and human development. I think it's the healthiest thing to do, but it's also a bad financial decision on paper. So it's like, like if my 15-year-old cousin asked me like, what should I do? Like, I'm a little conflicted. Like I want them to go to college and learn about themselves and get the experience, but also you can save so much money and get the same exact knowledge for free on YouTube, essentially.
I think we just uncovered something. It's almost like back into what should you do? What should you do? Well, I know what you should not do. And the answer is take on student loan debt, like take on crazy debt. So now, what does that mean now? All right, so maybe you can go to a community school. Maybe
then you might not get that experience. Then your mom's still doing your laundry.
Well,
then you're still hanging with your high school friends.
You're saying basically, bottom line is get the hell out of the house.
Yeah, and if you can go to a dorm where you're surrounded by like 30,000 new people, like I think that's healthy. Like I think that's good. And like the only way to do that for most people is to take on the huge debt of college. And they just sign the paper or whatever. And like, then they're like 31 and they're like, oh my God, I have like $20,000. Like, so I don't know. I think college should just be cheaper. But like,
dude, 100%, but that ain't happen anytime soon, but it's
tough.
This is the debate. If it was easy and everyone had an answer, it would be done. But you need the education. I think we can all agree that what are the pillars right here? You need to get smarter. You need to be educated, right?
Yeah.
You need to get out of the house. You need to be around people. You need to learn, what you're into, what you're not into, right?
Yeah.
You need to develop networking. You need to develop sales. You need to develop skills that necessarily doesn't translate from a college degree. We're totally on the same page here as far as like, get the hell out of the house. Yeah. Go make friends. Like get into trouble, but like not too much trouble. Figure it out. Totally on the same page, dude, but just don't take $50,000, $100,000 worth of student debt on.
Right. Yeah. So for any 15-year-olds listening or 17-year-olds thinking about college, totally advise it. Just be smart about the money part of it. Honestly, you want to know what would be awesome? Take classes online on YouTube. or whatever, and then go live in the frat house and get the college experience of meeting people, being part of the whole experience, but your actual education, you're not paying for it, and you're just like doing online. That would be smart.
I'm just thinking like at Florida State, there was a community college just right off campus called TCC, Tallahassee Community College. Same in every big city, every college. Like, and I remember a lot of kids, they would live near the dorms or around the dorms, and they were a friend of a friend. They'd be at the parties.
That's cool.
But they went to TCC. I had no clue, dude.
Good. That's a good strategy, I think.
So
I love it.
Just kind of get in where you fit in a little bit, but just save that money on the college debt.
Save that money. I love it. So save that money, right? That leads to like, once you have some money saved up, like investing. And I know you said that was kind of like the end of your financial advice, is like when you have some money, then you can invest. Like, how do you look at investing? Do you invest in mutual funds, stocks, like a bit real estate, all the above?
Yeah, no. So I basically, when I went around interviewing, when I started my show, I had more questions than answers, right? I was 35 years old. I had a good amount of money to my name, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Nice. You're talking about somebody who had no money.
Yeah.
And I went around and I started asking all the financial advisors that I dealt with. I said, what advice do you have for millennials? Like, answer the question.
That's awesome.
And it basically, with all the questions and all my research and everything that I heard, I developed what is called the 6 principles of wealth, or the Sos 6, if you will.
Love it.
And number 1 is you got to have a game plan for your money, which is a budget is a game for your money. You got to understand your income. You got to understand your expenses, your cash flow. You got to have
Google Sheets. Google Sheets is free. You can get it on your phone. It's amazing. Everyone should use it.
Totally agree. Number 2, debt is your money going backwards. You got to understand the interest rate game. Student loan debt might be 4%. Auto loan might be 8%. Credit card might be 18%. Cash advances might be 400%. Like, understand the debt, right? There's different levels of debt. Number 3, like back to my interviews, the most common answer was, tell them to save their money. So number 3 is save that money. What I recommend is having a cushion or an emergency fund or a rainy day fund, whatever you want to call it, but have $10,000 to your name. Now, most of America will be like, $10,000. Like, what? I don't even have $1,000.
Right.
And then there's some people that are going to hear that and be like, 10 grand. Like I got 100 grand in my name. Get out of here. But for the most part, save $10,000. So then when you have done those 3 things, now you can begin to invest. And I'll get to the investing question. So investing is principle number 4. Principle number 5 is insurance and protecting your biggest asset, which is you and your voice. So you better have insurance to cover that voice, disability insurance. And the number 6 is what I call chilling. If you can do all those things, then you're chilling, which is sort of like the modern day retirement. I found myself to be chilling at age 35. I had a budget. I was debt free. I'd saved a ton of cash. I was investing. I had insurance. I was chilling. I was working remotely. I had, $500,000 to my name. I was chilling. And so for me, what I did starting investing, I remember in 2008, I just made my first 100 grand, dude. That was a big deal for me. I'd never made more than 30 grand in my life, Sean. And all of a sudden, the recession hit, and people all around in the financial firms I was working with and mortgage firms, everyone's losing their jobs. And I remember people would ask me, like, dude, like, how much money did you lose? And I was like, 0. Like, I have 0 money. Like,
you just had it in the bank?
I had just had cash.
Nice.
Right? I didn't even understand investing.
It worked out well for you in that time, yeah.
So someone said, well, now's a good time when the market's low to start investing. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll start a 401k now.
A 401k?
And every year I've just been maxing out my 401k. For a time period, I was doing a Roth IRA. Now
I tried to do that, and then I made too much money the first year, and I was like, oh.
Totally. And same thing with me. And then there's something called a backdoor Roth IRA.
Yeah. I heard of it. I didn't get into it, but I just figured, like, I have this money and I like this whole IRA thing. I can put it in here, or I could do other stuff with it. Stocks. Like, now I'm trying to save up to buy a building for my company. So like,
okay, so cool. So yeah, I mean, save that money so you have a cushion. So God forbid Corona comes around, you're not like struggling. You don't have to max out your
So that's how you invest though. Your 401k and your IRA,
So
just
I
kind
have
of.
my 401k. I have my Roth IRA, but I haven't been able to contribute for
Mm-hmm.
7 years. I have a index funds, mutual funds
Okay.
with Fidelity, Vanguard. I just shot an episode about on Sos Talks Money and valuetainment economics about index funds versus what investing is today versus what it was back in the 90s. Like when I told people, what's the first thing you think of when you think of stock market? You think of bulls, bears, green, red, up, down, the Wolf of Wall Street. But that's not what investing is today. Investing is actually pretty freaking boring. Just look at Warren Buffett. So, I would say that I have maybe like 5% of my net worth in freaking crypto.
Okay, I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you like Bitcoin?
So, dude, I knew nothing about Bitcoin. Couldn't tell you anything about it at the time. And my buddy, who I said was secretly filming with me, now he works for CNBC. He actually runs their crypto trader platform on CNBC. But he's like, yo, dude, crypto's off the chains. Like, give me like 30 grand just to get started. I'm gonna start investing in crypto.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Like I had, some money to invest. Gave him a little bit more than that. And then crypto, shit the bed, and now it's kind of creeping back up.
Yeah.
But here's my advice to all the cryptos out there, because I interview a lot of
there is a
people.
huge community of people who are like obsessed with it.
So my biggest piece of advice with crypto is like, cool, if you believe in crypto, that's awesome. But like, don't forget about the mothership, which is the freaking stock market, right? Don't forget about the US stock market.
You think essentially just look at it as like a separate investment. Like say you buy Tesla, Disney, and Bitcoin, like just 3 stocks. Like look at it like that.
I mean, I'm not an individual. I don't buy.
I'm getting that vibe.
I've had Disney since like my grandma bought it for me, but like, I don't have a lot.
You're more of a mutual fund guy.
I'm a mutual fund or index funds. I keep my costs low. I stay the course. I'm not buying and selling. I'm not trading. I'm not racking up fees or expenses. But there's different, so let's say the bulk of your investment should be, let's say it's 80% in index funds or mutual funds. Cool. Now you got 20%, you like crypto, you like gold, you like REITs. Cool. Get in where you fit in. You like different spiders, you like ETFs, whatever it is. But I meet so many people, Sean, straight up, that all they have is a crypto account, but they don't have a 401k.
Yeah.
Or they have a crypto account and they don't got health insurance. And they got a crypto account, but like they're living in their mom's basement. It's
they're all in on it. Like they're obsessed with it. Yeah.
I don't even know if they're all in on it. I do know some people that are all in on it, but that was just what the hot shit was. So like, I'm getting a crypto account.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is, you need to crawl before you walk. You need to walk before you run. You need, before you can run a marathon, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So don't just start running marathons before you've even got a 401k.
Right.
So
I like it.
A lot of people have learned the hard way with investing in crypto in 2016, 17, and now they've had to sell it.
I actually made like 20 grand because I bought it like 2015 or what, like at 500, and then I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and then my business was hurting, and I just sold it like because I needed the money, and I made 20,000, and then it crashed right after. I was like, yeah. But now I actually got another. I bought another Bitcoin recently just because I don't want to miss out if it's like the future of money or whatever. But I guess you can't know. So just
bottom line for me is I tend to be a buy and hold investor.
That's the only way to do it, right? It's the only way that's proven to work.
I mean, that's I just did a whole episode that almost 90% of active traders don't beat the market. And these are professional traders. They can't just beat the S&P 500 index.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like you're a football fan or
hell yeah.
All right. So you're a football fan. You go on and you do, the ESPN and Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, and they do their show, whatever. And all right, it's time for the picks. All right, cool. Dude, these guys are professional. They played sports. They're Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about picks against the line specifically.
Right.
Even not against the line. All right, who you got? You got the Ravens or the Chiefs? They're just like, I got the fucking Chiefs. Hell yeah. And dude, half the time they're right, half the time they're wrong. These are professionals. So it's even worse in the stock market where 90% of professionals aren't right So just go play the index. It's easy.
Yeah, it's just not as exciting for the people who want like that high of watching the game. I used to love gambling. Like in college, I was all about gambling, and now I don't do it anymore just because it's fucking stupid. Like there's no point. Like it's just for the fun of the day. So whatever. But
I used to run book in college.
I actually did that too. Yeah.
But it's just a lot of. I used to do fantasy football, all that crap.
I still do that, just to keep in touch with friends. But
it's a lot of nonsense, a lot of time wasting. You know, one of my
time wasting. It's time wasting.
Dude, I'm all about investing your time, not spending your time.
Exactly.
I did a lot of time wasting back in the day. Parties, nightlife.
And I mean, if you got $500 on a game, it makes the game so much more fun. So I think that's why a lot of people do it.
Like. That's not going to change anyone's life.
Exactly. They'll probably go spend it right after because they're excited. It's just more about the day.
I mean, there was a time in my life, Sean, it sounds like we're pretty similar, where every Sunday it was like from 11 a.m. when Fantasy Football Today show started to basically Sunday Night Football. You're going 12-hour days.
Yeah. Betting on the halftime line or like.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Maybe make a couple $100, but you're spending a whole season if you like.
Yeah, it's such a waste of time. And honestly, you can now on YouTube, you can watch like a game like in like 8 minutes, which I love. But let's talk about the podcast because, dude, sure. I love your podcast. So it was called The Unusual Suspects. Now it's called the Bet David Show.
Yes.
So is that like what? That's like a Dave Matthews Band situation? You guys don't get to be in the title?
I think it's more. Well, what Pat said was it was just sort of 8 weeks to feel it out. I moved from Miami to Dallas during COVID for 6 months just to kind of like test run some stuff to specifically do valuetainment economics, Sos Talks Money. That was my whole thing.
Okay, so the podcast wasn't like a thing then.
Podcast was like last minute, like, yo, bro, you want to be a part of a podcast? I was like, sure, buddy. And then Josh, who, you know, him and I disagree.
Yeah, I love that.
Real right-wing MAGA guy. And I'm like, oh, good luck with that guy.
Yeah. So for the people listening.
Come with a branding name, but what we basically realized, like, this show's all about you, Pat. We can kind of be your backup singers, but this isn't my.
Okay.
You know,
dude, it's really good. Like, so for the people listening, it's called the Bet David Show. It's a new podcast, and it's you, Patrick Bet David, who people know, and Josh, right? Who's Josh Fearson, yeah. And dude, the three of you have a really good chemistry, and I love and you talk about like current events, but also like spice in like life advice and stuff like that. And dude, I really enjoy listening to it, and I think that you have a great voice on there because like Pat a little bit, but mostly Josh. Like, it's not even about conservative versus liberal. Like, he looks at everything in the world through like kind of like a political lens. Yeah. And one thing I think it might have been, I was listening to today because I knew you were coming on. I think it was today, but you were talking about whoever wins the presidency, will that have like a personal effect on like your personal life or your personal wealth? And you were like, no, I don't care who wins. It's not going to affect me hustling, me doing my thing. And Josh was like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious? And like, I mean, I'm a centrist. Like, I like Trump. I like how he's like kind of cool. Like, I don't ultimately like, I think I just like him. He's a little entertaining. Like, I don't care. Like, and I feel like that's a loser mentality to have your life be affected by some guy sitting in a chair in Washington, D.C. Like, I mean, it's interesting stuff to talk about. And some of the stuff does matter, like the CARES Act and the act. Like, I know you did a video on that about whether you get an extra $200 or whether you get the PPP loan. That stuff matters. But that stuff isn't as interesting for people because it's not like as super politically charged, something like the protest or something. But I love your voice on there because I think you do a good job of just not letting it get too like political, or you're like, oh, not just going to be Josh is like Trump propaganda. And he's a really smart guy, right? Like, what's his background?
So Josh, unique guy, bro. We couldn't have any more backgrounds, different backgrounds.
You do, yeah.
You know, Miami guy, nightlife guy. You know, I've had girlfriends, whatever. Yeah. Josh, you know, right-wing, Christian, conservative, lost his virginity at age 33.
Damn,
bro.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like 16, you know.
Oh my God, 33.
Like, you're going to hell, you gotta have sex before marriage. I'm like, okay, guy. So he's just, you know, all about conservative, but I don't even know about conservatism because we don't know what that even means. I'm as fiscal conservative as fucking anyone. I got a whole show about saving money. That's what
Right.
the Republican Party used to be about. But now
Right.
it's really just sort of a clan mentality. But
I hate the clan mentality. Yeah,
he's
that's
just
not.
all about Trump. Trump can do no wrong. And like I'll give Trump credit. Like for instance, the Israel United Arab Emirates deal.
Yeah.
As much as I'm not a Trump fan, I'm like, yo, respect for that, man. He did it.
Like, I feel like Josh would never do that. Like
if Joe Biden cured cancer, he'd be like, Joe Biden's
exactly, exactly, and like that's
cured cancer.
That's obviously flawed. It's obviously flawed thinking because like you just want to think about things critically in the best possible way for how it affects you and the world around you. And if you pick a side and you just agree with everything on that side, you become stupider.
So
like,
that initially I would debate Josh, and I'm not a political pundit. Like I do follow current events in the news, and I have obviously a money angle. And I remember at the first couple podcasts, I would say things like, yeah, I'm not a fan of Trump, da 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 da. And he would be like just spouting technical stuff. Well, Trump did this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, like I couldn't. But now it's a lot easier to debate him because I already know what his answer is going to be. Trump could do no wrong. Trump can be on Mount Rushmore. So before he really says anything, I'm like, okay, let's hear what Trump has to say. And he's like, oh, all right, like,
right.
That's just like
you know what he's gonna say.
Imagine if I thought Barack Obama could do no wrong, wrong. No matter what anybody said, I was like, no, Barack Obama's the greatest thing ever. Da 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 da. But he's not the greatest thing ever. Do I respect Obama? Do I think he's a great president, great leader? For sure. But are there some flaws in the armor? Yeah. For sure.
And,
so,
dude,
if you blindly follow someone, you're just setting yourself up.
And everyone always talks about how the country is split into sides, blah, blah, blah. You hear that everywhere, and it's definitely true. But, like, I think a good piece of advice for people is try to be the centrist because then your opinion becomes more valuable. Like, you don't know what you're going to say. And that makes your opinion, I want to know what Adam thinks, or I want to know what Sean thinks, because you don't know what they're going to think. In their opinion, you know it's not going to be based on one side or the other. Therefore, your opinion becomes more valuable. And it's just more healthy for your brain to be like, okay, let me think about this from like a regular perspective instead of jumping onto a side.
I think so many people respect Joe Rogan because
exactly
he's probably socially liberal. He smokes a ton of weed.
I love Joe Rogan.
He'll call bullshit on anybody.
Yeah.
So same thing with this guy, Andrew Schultz. He'll call out bullshit.
Yeah. And I feel like Pat, I know who that is. Yeah, I love him. I feel like Pat's like that too a little bit. Like he's more centrist than Josh.
Without question. Josh is football field analogy, right?
Yeah.
So the 50-yard line, let's say you're on the 50-yard line, right? Josh is hanging on the goalpost on one end, right? Pat is kind of like
25-yard line?
He's probably like, depending on the issue, he can be anywhere between on the left side, the 40, and on the right side, like the 30, right? Like,
okay.
He's on the right side of the field, but he'll come over to the
right.
I'm socially, I'm kind of on the left a little bit. I tend to be more of a centrist, libertarian. On the fiscally, I'm a little more on the right. Low taxes, what have you. But if you know exactly, if you know someone's hanging on the goal line on that side, it's like, I'm just trying to get people in the middle here. You get too many people, loud voices on the left, loud voices on the right. They're speaking the loudest. Let's all meet in the middle.
It's good for the country. It's good for the health of the average person to think like that.
Totally agree.
So
you know what percentage of America has not made up their mind on who they're voting for? Take a guess. What percentage?
They have not made up their mind.
Like they're like
I would say a low percentage, like I don't know, 10%.
Yeah, somewhere around there, like 10, 12%.
So most people have already made their mind up.
I think 90% have already been like, yo, I'm going with Trump, bro. I don't give a shit what you have to say.
Who would you go for? Who'd you go for?
This election?
Yeah.
Oh, it's no secret. I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not a fan of Trump.
So you vote for Biden?
Dude, I'd vote for a ham sandwich over straight. That's just me.
See, this could actually be a transition because I'm like, you explained yourself. I'm pretty much identical. Like I don't care that much about politics. But one thing I do like about Trump is he's just fun, man. He's just fun. And if you
then go give him a TV show, not your president.
Fair enough.
Well, that's on the Apprentice. He fired people all day long. But
fair enough.
You got nuclear buttons and your decisions.
All right, so fair enough. So as a transition of just someone who's just fun and interesting, like, so you were on the Kardashian show, right? As Chris Humphries, one of his best men. Like, I'm interested in that world of like being famous for being famous and like entertainment. Like, I guess you had a little bit of behind the scenes. Like, what was it like being at that wedding? I guess you're friends with Chris Humphries, or were, or are, right?
I used to play basketball. I met Chris in like a semi-pro summer league. I was a point guard. He's a 6'9" power forward.
Yeah.
I think I was like 18 at the time, and he was like 14, and he was the best player there at age 14.
Yeah.
You know, playing against college guys. So we just kept in touch, and fast forward, he made it to the NBA, and like I said, people would always call me, "Yo, man, I'm going to Miami. What's up?" He made it to the NBA, and he was 19, couldn't get into clubs, right? So he'd come out with me. So,
so you're friends, and you were a groomsman.
we became friends, and then good friends, and then he became one of my best friends. And then when he married Kim, I was a freaking groomsman in the wedding. Yeah.
So like, I just actually before this podcast, I pulled up the E Entertainment clip of that wedding. It was like 1 minute because I was gonna see if I could find you, and I saw you like behind the scenes. Like, I don't know, are the Kardashians like real? Are they fake? Like, are they doing everything for the camera, or are they actually kind of genuine and just filming it? I'm always curious of that world. Like,
yeah, it's been a little while since I've been in it. So when I was there doing my thing, so Kim and I were the same age.
Okay.
So Kim's probably turning 40 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I got along with Kim very well, like just kind of like how we're getting along. All good.
Yeah.
All good. I had some beef with Courtney, just kind of a little stuck up for a little bit.
Okay.
He and Scott would actually hang. He would come to Miami. We would hit the clubs.
He's like the man. My girlfriend always says, "You remind me of Scott," and I'm like, "Is that good or bad? I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know what. He's a fun dude. Rob Kardashian was a complete weirdo.
Yeah. But the reality TV people, like since you know them in real life, and most people only know them from the TV show, like how is the TV show a true representation of their life, like in general?
Question. Yeah, I mean, they obviously play a lot for the cameras, just like in anything. Like, all right, cameras are rolling. Okay, let me do this, do that. But
do they like plan out? Like, okay, we're gonna get into a fight tomorrow when the camera's on.
I think there's a little bit of that. A little bit of it. Not. I mean, that whole crew, they've been like the younger ones. So the Kylies and Kendalls, dude, they've had cameras in their faces since they were 10, 12 years old. I think at this point it's second nature, and they probably just, all right, cameras are rolling. Let's go. Let's live our life. So it's an
interesting world. It's an interesting world. I went to the Kanye West event when that was in Charleston, like that, like little political thing he did.
Yeah, when was that?
Dude, it was like 2 weeks ago. I don't know. I found out about it in the morning and went that night. I love Kanye West, dude. He's one of my idols, just as far as like, he's crazy. But as far as a political figure, I like how he's kind of unifying. He can get some conservative guys and some like liberal artsy people. And like, I feel like he brings people.
But you like him as a rapper, first and foremost.
Ultimately,
right?
I first started loving him as a rapper. Yes. And yes. Yeah. Right. So I went to this thing to check it out, and it was just as crazy as they made it seem. Like, he was just rambling on about God knows what. I went to it. Yeah. Cause it was in Charleston.
He was there.
He was there? Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, okay. And what was going on? Tell me about it.
Like, it was about 200 people. It was a small event. And he announced it that morning. So there wasn't a lot of time for a lot of people to get there.
People showed up, bro?
Well, it could only hold about 200 people. And he only announced it that morning. But yeah, 220 people were there. And he came out in it was like an army vest. And he had no plan. He brought some people up on stage. And like, this one girl was like, talking about, I got an abortion, and like, he's all against abortion, I guess. And like, I don't know, that's a touchy subject. I see both sides of that, but like, he's all against it. And he was just rambling on about like, God knows what. And it really seemed like a political strategy, because first he got on the ballot in Oklahoma, which is the easiest state because you have to pay $10,000. Then I guess South Carolina, or I guess $35,000. And South Carolina, I think, is the second easiest state because you only need 10,000 signatures. So like, he was trying to get the signatures. I'm not sure if he got them. He never submitted them. But then the next day he said his album was coming out, and he got in like a fight with Kim on Twitter. And like, the reason I like the guy is because he's interesting. But that world of, I don't know. Was it an album promotion?
Sean.
Yeah.
You know that this is just a publicity stunt for his album. The guy's not running for president. We covered this on the podcast, and Pat's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Look, I played in that world for a little bit. It's a fucking publicity stunt. Like,
okay,
the guy's not like." We're talking 2 months before the general election. What are we, 80 days out, 70 days out?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
the guy's not taking 50 million votes.
But just the weird part about being at the rally was, whatever this thing was in Charleston, no mention of music, no mention of his album, not one little hint at anything to do with music.
Play the part, bro.
He's playing the part. See, that is the thing I think is so cool.
You know the number one rule that when he went on stage, you know the number one rule?
No.
Don't talk about your album.
So that's kind of what I was getting at a little bit with.
To get people to, so you see what we're doing right now? Right now? We're not talking about an album coming out. We're talking about, yo, could he do it? Could he not? Yes. I don't know. Maybe.
And that's the genius that I love. And I feel like the Kardashians are the greatest at it. It's like getting people to talk about something that could be, and then it's like you're part of a discussion.
Don't underestimate Kris Jenner, bro. She's ruthless.
She's like the queen of it, I've heard.
Oh yeah.
Like that is, and like,
you know about the sex tape, right?
I've heard about the sex tape and seen the sex tape. It's not as hasn't aged as well, but so yeah.
Here's a little fun fact for you.
Okay.
You know, as her mother, she was very upset about the sex tape. Naturally.
Right. Okay.
But as her business manager, she may or may not have been the one to send out the sex tape.
Is that confirmed true? Dude,
confirmed true that Kanye's running for president? Let's all just let the speculation go down. But as her business manager, that sex tape has made that family literally billionaire.
Yeah, and like that is the part I'm interested in as a podcaster and as an entrepreneur. How can you pull that out and get that marketing of $0 spent and have everyone talk about you? It's such a special. Is it a skill?
Sean, when is the Sean Lowery sex tape coming out? This podcast is gonna blow up, bro.
Like, I would do something like that. I don't know. Like, is it a beef? You want to start a beef? Like maybe that'll do it.
You got some Ray Charles. What else you got?
I got Ray Charles. I got Remember the Titans.
That's Pat's favorite movie.
Dude, when he came out with that content, or you guys I had said that like 2 days before, and I was like, I saw the same exact thing, and then here I got my pencils because that's like my branding thing is I got my pencil in my ear all the time.
That's it, just like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like my little. I've always had it in since college, and it's just a little thing. But it's not as good as a sex tape or as good as running for president. But
the pencil to the sex tape. Now we got a podcast.
Oh, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna end this podcast, and I'm gonna go. Should it be like a solo sex tape, or like should I get a couple people? How should I do this?
Probably not a solo.
It's gonna backfire. Like that's why there has to be some skill to it. But I love when you guys were talking about the wet ass pussy, the WAP song. It was so funny just to hear you guys talk about it. Yeah. And like,
that was actually Josh's idea of all things, because Josh truly offended by those songs.
Dude, I mean,
Matt and I are looking at each other. We're like, dude, we've heard these songs our whole life. Like,
yeah. It's just music and it's funny. And it made me think.
It is a pretty horrible song, though.
I like the song. See, my friends always make fun of me that I like bad movies and bad songs. Like, I love the song. I think it's got a great beat. And I thought of that because Nicki Minaj and Cardi B had that beef, got people talking about them. And it's like, it's those unique marketing strategies I think are so interesting.
Speaking of sex tape, I know that when Patrick, the CEO of our company, Patrick Bet-David, he was actually the one that when you reached out to me, I was like, who is this guy? What's going on? He's like, do his podcast. It's fun.
Yeah.
I guess you had asked him a question about going without sex. What was that all about?
Yeah. So I've always been very interested in like this no-fap thing, right? Like, I don't know if it's like basically, I don't know, don't have sex or jerk off for like a period of time and it makes you like smarter or makes your I've heard about this and I've been very interested in it. And I heard before that he went 17 months with no sex.
Okay, so he heard that?
I heard it. I heard him talk about it before at some point. Wow. And I wanted to bring it back up to ask him about it. He went 17 months with having no sex. And before that, he was a playboy. So I think that's very interesting. And I wanted to ask him about it. And he said, ultimately, it was just about, he needed to have discipline in something. And also for him, he was like, I said so many girls, this girl and that girl and this girl and that girl, that like it was wasting. He was a
For sure.
playboy, and he said it was wasting his time. Like, and like we talked about with football on Sundays, like I'm an efficient businessman. Like I like to have fun, but I'll plan that out for a weekend or something. So I get that. For him, it was like about time. I was more interested if it was like Think and Grow Rich. The book changed my life, right? Very amazing book. The last chapter, Napoleon Hill, you read it?
Of course.
The last chapter of the book is very cryptic. And it's about like not releasing your creative juices and I'm like, all right, so Pat,
there's a whole chapter dedicated to the sex stuff.
Yes.
The last chapter, because I remember telling
it's the very last chapter.
Okay,
gotcha. And it's kind of vague. So I want to know, should I not have sex to make myself smarter and like open these new creative zones? Because some of my friends who don't get girls, they were trying it so that when they went out to the bar, they would have more sexual energy. Therefore, they could like get laid, basically. So I'm not interested in that because I have a fiance, so I didn't care about that element of it. So I was like, should I try this to like, I don't know, is there some creative energy? So I asked Pat, and he said it was more about time and discipline. And I said, should I do it? And he said, no, don't do it. Your fiance will hate you. So
yes.
So I kind of left it there.
It's easy to do if you're single. If you're engaged, that's
right.
Tough to do.
But I'm always interested in where these like creative energies are, whether they're in the marketing world of the Kardashians or somewhere within your body. And I try to find them and I try to ask smart people about it. So I figured I'd come right out the bat with Pat and ask him about that question. But that's cool. That's cool. You asked him if you should do my show and he's like, yeah, you should do it.
He's like, yeah, I just did it. Go ahead.
Oh, hell yeah. Maybe I should have the trio next and have Josh on.
Yeah, if you want to hear about some right-wing MAGA
stuff. I could talk. Maybe I'll ask him that. Oh, that's right. And he's done. He's done.
Clear. I respect Josh.
Of course, yeah.
I respect his mind. He's a smart dude. Smart, you know. I get a lot of people that are like, how could you associate yourself with this freaking racist bigot, da-da-da. And I said, look, I can tell you straight up, he is not a racist.
Yeah.
He's not a bigot. He just plays one very well on social media. So yeah, I get a lot of hate from friends of mine. Like, bro, what is wrong with you?
Dude, it makes good content. I mean, you're just
yeah. And it's like I can't associate. I can't talk to somebody that I totally disagree with. That's the whole point of getting synergist.
Exactly, dude. I'm not kidding. Like I already said it, and I'm not just like sucking dick because you're on the show. It's a good podcast, man. Like it's really good. And I know you guys have been trying to like gain your audience and stuff. Like Joe Rogan is my favorite podcast. And I used to listen to a lot of like entrepreneurship podcasts, but like I've kind of embodied a lot of those principles. So now I like to get some entertainment and some knowledge in one. And I don't always listen to it live because I'm busy, but when I'm on my own time, I'll listen back to it. It's a really good podcast. So
valuetainment, baby. Valuetainment.
Yeah, keep it up. But yeah, what's your pitch? Where should people go to like find you? If you could have people do one thing, would it be like follow you, follow Valuetainment, like watch your show, all of it?
If you want to follow just me on Instagram, it's Sos Talks Money on Instagram, SOS Talks Money. If you want to see, that's just obviously little clips and just kind of what I got going on. And then obviously Valuetainment is the mothership. And then we have our own channel here that's just straight up dedicated to money called Valuetainment Economics on YouTube. But all that, or the Bet David podcast. I'm here, part of the Valuetainment crew, the family. So
I love it, man. Valuetainment's it's a cool thing. Valuetainment's a cool thing. I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, dude, we're just getting started, Sean. We're just getting started. We're coming after the heavy hitters.
And you guys are young. You're all around 40, right? To me, that is so young.
Late 30s, early 40s.
So young.
We've all been successful in our careers for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And now we're going into the media space, from the finance space, from the insurance space, business. Josh played in the social media space. Josh has got like 4 billion views on Facebook.
That's crazy.
Like,
he's got a niche. Love it, man.
What's your story with the podcast? What's your plan?
So
you have a business.
Yeah, I spend 95% of my time running my company. I sell monogrammed clothing. It's a niche that I found for girls. We sell all to girls, and my fiance is part of it. But we have 15 employees now, and we're doing about 6 million in sales. And that's where I spend 95% of my time. And I love it. We found a great niche. And the podcast, I I just wanted to talk on a microphone and talk about business and talk about entrepreneurship. I would classify my podcast as an entrepreneurship podcast. And the first few episodes, I was talking about entrepreneurship, and it's kind of like nutrition. There's only so much you can say, and and sometimes I personally get sick of talking about the same principles over and over of hard work, dedication, sticking with it, focusing on one thing, finding your niche, finding your audience. So that's like the baseline of who I am. Kind of like, I guess maybe the base of who you is would be like financials, and then you bring that perspective to the world of current events and stuff like that. And
So it's something that I would call the steak and the sizzle. You familiar with this analogy?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to any steakhouse and get a steak, right? I
Right.
mean, you get a 12-ounce filet mignon, whatever, any steakhouse. But what's the reason you go to Ruth's Chris, or what's the reason you go to Morton's, or what's the reason you go to Outback, or what's the reason you go to Lone Star? It's because the different sizzle. I don't mean like literally like the steak sizzle, but
The personality.
it's literally, it's the atmosphere. It's come on through in. It's the white glove, or it's like the Texas vibe, whatever it is. Like the steak. So the steak is your entrepreneurship, but you need some sizzle.
Exactly.
You need to get Ray Charles on your podcast. That's the sizzle right there, bro.
I love Ray Charles, man. But and honestly, like, I'm just trying to have fun with it because you guys all come from something, especially Pat, Valuetainment. Like, I'm coming from nothing. No one knows who I am, and I'm not trying to make any money from it at this point. Do I want to? Sure, but like, that's not why I'm doing it. Like, I'm doing it just because I would never get to talk to someone like you if I didn't have like a podcast. And it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's like my golf. Once a week, I'll just jump in, do the podcast, and have some fun with it.
Listen, I hope you're recording right now. I promise you this.
That would be bad if I wasn't.
Because I was in the exact same situation as you 5 years ago. You keep this up. Listen, don't quit your day job, because that's what's going to pay the bills. Like, I have not quit my day job. That's still doing great, paying the bills. You stick this out, bro. You're going to look back 2-3 years from now. Someone's going to approach you. Hey, do you want to co-host this show with me? Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, man, love your voice. And you're going to be like, thank God I started that show. And you're going to have people that are going to come up to you and be like, Sean, like, dude, you got fucking 20 views, bro. You're wasting your time, whatever. I had best friends of mine being like, dude, what are you doing with your stupid Instagram money thing?
I get that.
Look at me now. And I'm with Patrick Bet David. I'm part of Valuetainment. If you're doing this because you actually want to do this, like you believe in yourself, you believe in what you're doing this for free. I promise you, Sean, whether it's 6 months down the road, 12 months, 24 months, focus on your business, but stick this out. Only good things will happen with this. I promise you. And at the very freaking least, you're going to end up talking to a lot of awesome people that just, it's great to talk to. Like that's like the least of your, what your return on your investment.
Dude,
speaking of that, what were you saying?
I was going to say that's amazing advice, and I love it.
Stick it out. So how did you end up getting Pat on your podcast?
All right. How do you, like, any guesses? Like, because he's a big name. So I reached out to
one of the biggest, right?
I reached out to the team, filled out a form or something. So they messaged me back and they said, Pat's very busy. Buy 25 of the books and the course, and we'll consider him coming on. And I did it. As an investment into the podcast. And by the way, when did that damn book coming out? Because I bought it like a while ago and I was supposed to get it.
It's out on Tuesday, bro.
But okay, good. So I'm expecting a big ass box in the mail someday.
August 18th.
But honestly, I paid, and I'm not ashamed to say that, because I got Pat. I made an investment in my podcast, and it was awesome to talk to him. It was surreal. It was so cool. He gave me some good advice. The podcast has my most views. It has like 13,000 views on YouTube. It got me connected with you, and now I have a bedrock for my podcast. And I noticed that Pat does this because I searched Patrick Bet David and I searched by least views. And I saw that he goes on some small people like mine's podcast. And I noticed on all of them, he was kind of rolling his eyes and was like, just trying to get through it. I was like, I was like, I'm going to come hit him with like the sex question. And like, I'm not going to make him like introduce himself. I'm going to try to make him enjoy it. And in his eyes in the beginning, he was kind of like rolling around, but I think he ended up enjoying it. And he ended up telling me, he's like, look at the fire you got, Sean. He's like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, so I had to pay to get him on. Essentially, I had to buy the books, I had to buy the course, and I don't regret doing it. And hopefully I don't gotta whore myself out for more guests. But
No,
I think it was smart. I think it was smart.
I agree with you. I think it was a great investment in this. You know, I can't tell you how much I've spent on my personal brand to get to this point.
Are you thinking? Are you thinking like, damn, how much could I have charged Sean?
Not at all, bro. Not at all. It's kind of like you paid for Pat. They're gonna throw in Sos as a consolation prize. You get Sos. So,
but he did give you a recommendation though. He did give me a recommendation, right?
I said no. Because I think what's your producer's name? Brandon.
Brandon. Yeah, Brandon's right behind the camera over here. Brandon's the man.
He reached out. You know, I don't. Dude, before we started this podcast, I didn't listen to podcasts straight up.
Okay, interesting.
I've actually hung out with Joe Rogan when I used to do stand-up comedy back in the day, but I don't really listen to podcasts. Yeah, whole nother story.
Yeah.
But so I said, hey, this podcast reached out. Dude, you could have had 10 million subscribers or 10 subscribers. I would have no clue the difference, straight up.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, this guy, Brandon from Sean Lowery podcast reached out. They invited me to come on the show. What do you think? He goes, yeah, go. I just did it. Go ahead, do it.
That's
do it.
Awesome, man. That's so cool. That's so cool. I love that. And that's actually advice for any podcasters that are starting. It's like, you can get guests. Just ask them. Like, I mean, dude, I've been watching you on YouTube. Like, you're pretty big. And like, now I'm just chilling, talking to you. And like, that's so cool for me.
Here we are, bro.
Yeah. And then maybe one day I could be that guy where someone's like, oh my God, I'm talking to Sean Lowery. We'll see.
Dude,
man,
no bullshit.
Yeah.
You're 31.
Yeah.
Just save this moment in time. By the time you're 35, as an example, you're going to like play this clip back and you're going to be on some big podcast or a special guest on shit. And it's just, you're a talented dude, bro. You're engaging, you're fun, you're smart, you know, you're relatively good looking. You got a good voice.
Stop it. I mean, yeah, the voice, we'll see about that, but
just keep it up.
I need to auto tune. But dude, I know you said you had to run, and thank you so much for coming on. Honestly, it's an honor. And maybe let's do it again. I mean, I think one thing that's cool about podcasts is when you have like some reoccurring guests and you like build some rapport and people. So I don't know, maybe like 8-10 months, we can have it back on it.
Listen, talk to my assistant, Patrick Bet David. I'll see if we can make some time. Yeah, dude, just be in touch for sure. I think I was communicating with Brandon on Instagram, but I'm going to follow you on Instagram. We can communicate that way. It's very easy.
Hell yeah. That's a great way to communicate. Dude, all right. So yeah, we're going to put this podcast out. We're going to make a clip. We're going to make it look amazing. If you want to send us like some headshots or something, I'm sure we can find them somewhere. But dude, yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
I want your guests to know one last thing.
All right.
They better save that money. That's what they got to be doing.
Boom. Save that money. We'll end it right there. All right. Peace out. Hey, thanks for watching the Sean Lowery Show. You are the greatest. Watch some more videos of me right up here.